Hello and welcome to another video. So I don't really like to do wrap-up videos and TBR videos because I never stick to TBRs, and my wrap-ups are usually books that I read for work and I find them, I don't know, to me kind of boring, at least my own videos that I make. But I'm falling way behind in the videos and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry if my content's been kind of boring, but I just got married, I just bought a house, we're painting and we're moving and there's just a lot going on right now. So this is the type of video that I have time to make and to post. So hopefully it'll be interesting this time because I have cooler stuff this time. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in May, the books that I am currently reading and want to read in June, and a little book haul that I did recently. So let's start with May. I read 9 books in May. 5 of those were for work and 4 of those I read on my own time. And for those of you who don't know, I'm an audiobook proofreader, so I read about 2 books a week, around there. Sometimes more, sometimes less, on top of whatever I'm reading in my own time. So this came out to be 2,220 pages with an average 3.5 stars rating, which honestly is pretty good. Let's see last month. Last month was an average 3.32 stars, so I think I did pretty good this month. At least I read some better books this month. So going all the way back to the start, the first one that I read was The Elite by Kira Cass. I was reading the whole selection series, so I actually read The Elite, The One, and I DNF'd The Heir. I have a whole video for these if you want to go and check it out and have it more depth. These ones are pretty fun. They're I don't know, Princess, The Bachelor kind of books where 35 princesses go to the castle, kingdom, whatever it's called, and they compete for the prince's hand in marriage. This one was a fun time. I gave it 3.5 stars. This one was more of a fun time. I gave this one 4 stars, and this one obviously was a DNF, like I said earlier. There's a whole reason why I DNF'd it. Go check out the other video, it explains it. But this one, not good, would not recommend. If you're gonna read the selection series, stop at book 3, highly suggested. Also, I didn't count this book in my stats because I don't count DNFs as books read. I don't know. If you do that, let me know in the comments. I never know how to track my DNFs and my reading goals and stuff. So then I read this book called The Time of Exile by Catherine Kerr. This is a book 5 in a series. I did not read the first 4 books. This is a adult high fantasy book. I was lost the entire time. I can't really give a review on this because I was lost the entire time. This is why I don't like doing wrap-ups, because I read books like this where I just could not really pay attention because it's book 5 in a series and I didn't read the first ones and I was just lost the whole time, or they're just really boring business books that I just turn my mind off to proof those. Anyways, moving on. Then I read Scent: A Natural History of Fragrance by Elise Vernon Pearlstein. This I gave 4 stars. It was very interesting. It was not a book that I would normally read, but it kind of goes by these scents that we just deal with in our natural everyday to day lives and where they came from and the history behind them, and kind of a little bit of lore that goes with them. I feel lore is not the correct word, but kind of how these scents help the mind and stuff like that. I don't know. It talked about frankincense and oh my god, I already can't remember. I read this book a month ago, okay? If it's a scent you can find in essential oils, they probably had the scent in the book. It was really, really cool. I wish I could remember more of it. Oh, so then I made a page for the selection series. The first paragraph is just me talking about how much I love the selection, and then this one is talking about how much I hated the 4th book and I would not like to read it ever again. I don't know, maybe one day I'll go back and I'll read those books, but it's not anytime soon. So then I read the book How to Become a More Effective Leader, Discover What It Takes to Excel by Johnny Hunt. This one was not a fun time. I did not enjoy it. So I thought it was going to be more of a leadership self-help book, but this book was very aggressively religious. Just to say it, I'm not a religious person, but I like reading religious books because I feel it just kind of helps you see things from a different perspective, really opens your mind and stuff like that. Anyways, this book was very aggressively religious, and to the point where you can only be a good and effective leader if you are this specific religion, if you have these specific morals and stuff like that. And I thought it was a very closed-minded book. It's the exact opposite of why I read religious books. I don't know, it's got very conservative ideals, which is not a bad thing, but it can be harming if you go to extremes. This book kind of suggests going to extremes, and it's kind of sexist, and it's just not my cup of tea. Moving on. So then I read the first book in the Lock and Key graphic novel series. I believe it's called Welcome to Lovecraft. This was by Joe Hill, and Gabriel Rodriguez was the illustrator. I read this book as an ebook through the library, so I don't have the physical copy, even though I really badly want the physical copy and I want all the rest of the books. This one I gave 5 stars. I loved it so much. I also have a video for that if you want to check it out. So this is a horror graphic novel. It's very dark, it's very rated R. There's murder and gore and stuff like that. There's a lot of suggestions of things that happened, so definitely check out your trigger warnings before you go and read it, but I thought that it was such a fun time. It's got such an interesting concept and I just want to read more about it. I feel like I can't really say more about this without really giving away the whole story, and it's kind of better if you go into this one blind. It's just really fun. So on the Joe Hill train, next I read Basket Full of Heads. This is in his Hill House DC Black Comics Black Label collection. So this is book 1 in this like 6-book collection. I don't believe he wrote all of them. I'm still not clear on that, but he definitely wrote this one and he acquired the 6 to put into this collection. And there's more in this series that I want to read. Like the next book I think is called like The Dollhouse or something, and it's like a real life dollhouse, but dollhouse? I don't know. But I really want to read it. It sounds really cool. So then I read the PD book, 7 Habits That Transform Professional Development by Elena Aguilar. This one I gave 3 stars because it wasn't anything really special, but it also like had some good advice in it. If I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember too much about this book because I did read it, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I just like, it's completely out of my brain now. There was this one good quote that I thought was kind of important. It says, "No one can learn from you if you think that they suck." And that's fair. All right, and so the last book that I read in May is The Homestead by Russell Atwater. This is a book 3. I did not read books 1 and 2. And this is like an old Western, and old Westerns are so cute and they're so fun and they're just like sweet and simple, and you don't really need to read the rest of the books in the series to understand what's happening. I mean, reading the first 2 definitely would have helped me understand the relationships between the characters a little bit better, but like I really didn't need it to enjoy this and have a good time. I did end up giving it 3 stars. I don't know if I rated it on Goodreads because I don't like to rate books on Goodreads where I start in the middle of the series because I feel like that's not fair. But as a standalone, I gave this one 3 stars because it was cute and it was fun, but there was like, it wasn't really anything special. But I probably would rate it higher if I did read books 1 and 2. So moving on to my June TBR, I'm going for big books, just big bricks of books. So there are 2 that I'm currently reading and then 2 that I haven't started yet, but I want to get to them soon. Probably won't get to all of them in June. They're thick books. And like I said earlier, I have a lot going on just in life in general, and I don't really have time to just sit. I do have 3 of these, I believe, on audiobooks, so that's probably how I'm going to be reading the majority of my books this month. The first one is The Stand by Stephen King. This is the complete uncut edition, so this is like 400 pages longer than the cut edition. This is 1,153 pages. I have marked it by 100-page marks, and I'm currently on page 37, so this is going to take me quite a few months to read realistically. I am doing another video for this, so probably 2 videos honestly because it's so thick, but I don't know, look out for those in August probably. Anyways, this book is about a pandemic, which is kind of fitting. That's not why I'm reading it at this time. I'm trying to read all the books in the Dark Tower series, and this one is recommended to read before book 3. And I've already read the first 2. So the first 37 pages are really good. They're really like captivating and stuff. I just like don't have time to pick up this big book and read it, but I really want to. Like the prologue, whatever, is very, very good. I'm really excited to see where this goes. So then I'm like kind of reading this, kind of not. This is one of those that I'm using as a tool more. So this is Connecticut Ghost Stories and Legends by Thomas D'Agostino and Arlene Nicholson. If you don't know, I live in Connecticut and I love ghost stories and legends and just spooky stuff. Like I love it. It is my cup of tea. And so I went through and I marked with tabs where some of these places are and how far they are from where I currently live, so that I can pick some of these and just go see some spooky stuff and maybe I'll see a ghost or something. I don't know, I think it'd be really cool. In the back you can kind of see some of these like spooky stuff, like this is a lighthouse that's on the water and you actually have to take a boat to get there. And then I don't know what this is, but it looks like it might be Gillette Castle. It's not Castle Craig. I'm not sure what this picture is, but I don't know, I'm like really excited to do some of this stuff, and I'm gonna try to go to some of these places from now until Halloween. So the next 2 books I haven't started yet, but I really want to. I've been watching a lot of videos about ACOTAR and TikToks and stuff, and I really want to read A Court of Mist and Fury. I have started reading this before. I got to page 20, maybe. That's where my tabs stop. So I got to around page 20, but I just like, I don't know, like big books are kind of intimidating and I just haven't gotten around to it. I do have this in audio, so it's gonna make it a lot easier to read. But I mean, I read the first one like a year ago. It's way past time to pick this up and continue reading the series. So the final book that I want to get to either in June or sometime soon is Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This is a enemies to lovers, fake dating kind of situation. I've heard it compared to The Hating Game, and I've tried to read it before and I just could not really get into it. I got to like page 8, honestly, and that doesn't count as even trying to read a book. So it's time to try again. I also have this one on audio, and a video for this will be coming out, who knows, next week, the week after, sometime soon. I'm really trying to be on top of these videos, but it's hard. It's just hard. So that's all the books I want to get to in June. So now on to a little haul. So I went to this bookstore and they had these books that were like really cheap. They didn't have a large selection of them, but I did manage to get a couple, and they were only like a couple dollars each, so I was really excited for that. So the first one is Dante's Inferno. I've been wanting to read this for like a wicked long time. Specifically, I wanted to read it in college because that's when I was reading Paradise Lost, and there was a lot of like references to Dante's Inferno. And I also watched that movie As Above, So Below. As Below, So Above. Something, I can't remember the title of it, but that movie kind of references the different levels of hell, kind of, you know, talking about Dante's Inferno. It is a long, like, poem, and it might be a little bit complicated to read, so I'm not thinking I'm going to get to it anytime soon, but it's something that I've always wanted, and I've wanted to get to it for, like, a really long time. Also, like, look at these end pages. It's spooky, it's so cool. I love it. Next, I got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This was turned into a Netflix movie, I believe. I haven't watched it yet. I love spooky stories, and they're just like little short stories. There's 3 little books in here, and each book has like short stories. Some of them are only a page long, some are like little Shel Silverstein poems, and some of them are like a couple pages. Like I'm so excited to get to this, especially around spooky season. And then obviously, of course, I'm gonna watch the movie on Netflix afterwards. Yeah, just excited. And the final book I got was My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I don't know too much about this, but I heard it was really dark, and I heard there's a lot of trigger warnings around this. Also, the sticker, I'm like mad about this. They put the sticker right on the front. So I heard about this a lot sometime last year. I think maybe that's when people were reading it. I don't know. But the real reason why I got this was, one, because the cover is so beautiful. I mean, I love butterflies, and it's beautiful. And we got a quote here from Gillian Flynn, and then we got a quote on the inside here from Stephen King, and those are like 2 of my favorite authors. I mean, if it's approved from them, obviously it's going to be a good book. Obviously. I did read the synopsis of this, but I'm not going to say what it's about because it's too close to triggering content, and I'm not going to be reading this on YouTube. I'm going to be reading it on my own time, so I don't feel like it's necessary. If you want to know, definitely look it up. Look up the trigger warnings. But yeah, it's dark. But yeah, so that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comments if you read any of these books and which ones were your favorite. I don't know. If you want to write something in the comments, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Tell me,